G'day, guys, and welcome back to Comics to Movies and More. We have a fantastic show tonight. We are going to talk Captain Marvel. We're going to speak with a guest from America who's been up since 5 a.m. to jump on our show. So, everyone, I hope you appreciate him getting up this early and coming in and spending some time with us. And we've also got our co-host Stephen with us as well. Now, if you're new to the show and you haven't already, please hit subscribe and click that notify bell. We are going to have a jam-packed show, so let's get into it and say hello to everyone. G'day, Stephen. G'day, Travis. How are we?
Oh, good. I'm surprised you're awake. Thank you so much. I know 5 a.m. it's tough. Thank you for getting up.
Well, I have an Alexa and she does everything I need.
Does she make you your coffee?
Actually, no. That's the only thing she doesn't do yet. But she does turn on the TV and stereos and lights and all that.
That's pretty amazing. That's pretty cool. So, just hello to everyone that's watching so far. So we've got Darren, Moira, and Sazigal that has said hello. If you are watching, drop a comment. We are posting out to the Comics to Movies page as well as our live YouTube stream. We're going to talk about Travis's crowdfunding campaign a little bit later, which is very, very cool and very exciting. So please stick around to check that out. But first, guys, we usually let our guests choose the movie that we're going to talk about. And tonight we're going to talk about Captain Marvel. Travis, what made you kind of decide to talk about Captain Marvel?
It was there to talk about. It's a Marvel film.
It's one of the ones we haven't done. This is the 18th show that we've done, but we haven't touched on Captain Marvel that much. So it was kind of cool that we get to talk about this one. So was this something that was one of your favorites in the franchise or least favorite? What did you think about this one?
It's an oddity in the MCU, in my opinion.
Okay, how so?
So I worked in Hollywood a couple years ago. I was a writer down there, and I used to get bumped around a lot, doing a lot of doctoring work. And you get to a point where you can see how a film's put together and see how it's written, to where it's like watching a clock. You know exactly when things are going to happen. Even if you don't know what's going to happen, you know when things are supposed to happen. And you can tell writing techniques and skill levels apart. You know, you can say, well, I can tell this guy's only done a couple films, and you can tell this other person probably had a team and people editing for him. Where Captain Marvel is an oddity is Marvel's been, from a writing standpoint, with like the Russo brothers and Taika Waititi and everybody, the last few years has altered how their films are kind of structured and delivered, and their writing quality. One of the things they do really well right now is characters are aware with their dialogue of the context of their dialogue. And a lot of films are broken with that. There's a lot of movies where somebody will say something like, oh, you know what? I need to go get some more coffee. And nobody caught the guy holding a fresh cup of coffee, and that's bad writing. Marvel did do that in its first couple of runs. Like if you watch the first Avengers movie, that's probably the last time that gets really bad. But like Captain America, Thor, the second Iron Man film, third Iron Man, all those movies kind of have clunky writing to them still. You know, they have some real clunkiness to them. They're not as tight. And Captain Marvel comes along, and we kind of get thrown back to that loose beginning days of Marvel with an origin story and with this clunky kind of dialogue. And yet it's still a good film. It's better in some ways than those movies because it has the newer Marvel team, but you have that clunky script. So I think Captain Marvel's an interesting oddity that kind of mixes old Marvel with new Marvel.
Question then, and because you touched on the origin stories, and usually with most origin stories, and that's why I think Spider-Man didn't go down that pathway, is origin stories are little bit more clunky than normal because you have that formula. They have to go through those motions. Say Captain Marvel, say Black Panther, because Black Panther, the first movie, wasn't quite an origin movie. It wasn't. Yes and no, it was. Did you find the writing for Black Panther as clunky as Captain Marvel? Because that's still, I think, Phase 3 Marvel, and it's still semi-origin story.
It's great because I was going to bring up Black Panther as the counter to Captain Marvel, which is
that's how we think. We know. Even if we didn't. By the way, we did not plan this. Unplanned.
I don't believe you too.
They came around the same time, and they're good at. They do that. That's a great example because Black Panther has better writing than Captain Marvel. It has a visual effects issue that's a little bit wonky at the end, but it's a much more mature team building Black Panther. Now, I don't know who was on the Black Panther team versus who was on the Captain Marvel team, but from a writing and directing standpoint, Black Panther is a better put together and a more modern film, where Captain Marvel feels like it was still filmed in that first era, that first phase of Marvel.
Yeah, I don't know whether it was the 90s feel of that film, being a 90s boy myself with the Blockbuster video, the Guns N' Roses t-shirt and all that type of stuff, that I kind of felt that the clunky writing worked for it because it kind of made me feel like it was almost made in the 90s type of thing. So I don't know whether they actually did that deliberately. If they didn't, I think that's quite, for me, it was quite lucky that that's the way I perceived it. But yeah, I it's not my favorite Marvel movie. Captain America: Winter Soldier is by far my favorite out of all the Marvel cinematic universe. But it definitely was a better origin story than I feel a lot of other superhero origin stories do, type of thing, especially being the first one that was really a female lead in this cinematic universe as well. So,
talking about 90s movies though, and going back to say the writing. So I recently watched probably the most 90s movie ever, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. It was if you want pure 90s, watch it. It came out in 1991. So pure 90s movie, Bill and Ted's. In far as the story and the fun and stuff, the movie held up. But I know exactly what you mean about the writing because the dialogue is so stilted. And although it's meant to be a comedy, it is so, how do you say it? It's like every second word they stop. And it's just like that whole clunkiness. And again, like what Sean mentioned, I don't know if Captain Marvel is trying to capture that same effect, because when I watched Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey again, oh man, it reminded me a little bit of Captain Marvel, just the references. And I think that's the one thing, they played the 90s angle way too much on Captain Marvel. Like all the rest of the movies, they weren't trying to define an era. But in Captain Marvel, they were. So they started shoving all the references in, which if you weren't, that doesn't add to the story. And that's where I thought it stilts it a little bit, when you have to go, where am I now? You're in Blockbuster, it's those type of references that kind of slows down the pace, slows down the thing. Do you think that's why the clunkiness is? Maybe they're trying to shoehorn the 90s in, when all the other newer movies, like Black Panther, wasn't trying to shoe on this is the year 2000. They weren't trying to shove all those year references into it, or decade references.
So, with Captain Marvel, I think there was some effort to give it some 90s film.
Yep.
I think one of the examples is she connects random wires to a telephone, and somehow she can talk across the galaxy. That's kind of a 90s thing. Like, oh, look, technology from other universes can go to, our universes. We don't do stuff like that, hopefully, in writing anymore. But,
sorry, Bill and Ted did that as well. The guy from the future came back in, pressed the button, and then all the television screens.
Right.
Bill and Ted did it first.
I totally think they did that sort of thing is on purpose. But then you have things where I'll give you an example of something that happens in the film. First, real quick, I like Captain Marvel before I say what they say. And I think Brie Larson's fine as Carol Danvers. I think she's better in the Avengers film than she is in her own origin story. But a good example of some weird things. When they go into the bar that the Top Gun kind of esque bar that they go to, she meets up with Sam. Anyways, she blows up a jukebox in this bar.
Yep.
Okay. Now it's a rundown little hole in the wall, family owned and operated bar where all the pilots go, including herself, and she blows up the jukebox. Any other modern script that would have caused a dilemma. But in this script, they blow up probably at the time a $10,000 rental jukebox that little place is renting. And nobody comes out from the back to see what exploded. They just continue having a conversation after destroying these people's business. Like nothing happened. Okay.
I didn't notice that part. Yeah.
Right. And you don't, because you're enjoying the film, and that's true. But from a writer and a director standpoint, nowadays we don't do stuff like that because it means that the script isn't aware of the context of the environment. And it's a common writing problem. We write dialogue, and then the director doesn't necessarily understand the difference between the dialogue they're just repeating and doesn't look around the room and say, well, you wouldn't say that in this room, Yep. And so that movie, that's the most blatant, obvious example of that anyone can see. But there's a lot of little ones throughout the whole film where people are saying things or doing things. They're outside the context of their environment.
This is a challenge, man. I'm going to go back and watch this film again tomorrow, and I'm going to see if I can note down as many of these as I can, and I'm going to come back on the show next week and report back because I love that. I guess I'm not. I would never say that I'm a fantastic writer, but that's really interesting. I've never, actually thought, especially because I've never done any film or anything, but yeah, when you have something go off like that, and I can picture the scene you're talking about 100%. You're 100% right. Like, how is the person even the person at the bar doesn't even say anything? It only needs to be a one-liner or something like that, but there needs to be some sort of reaction to someone blowing up a jukebox like that. So I'm going to go back. I reckon this is a challenge. I'm going to go back. I tell you what, if anyone else is watching, let's make this a challenge. We'll give away something free next week if we can come back and find as many of these cliche, badly written parts in Captain Marvel and yeah. So.
Let's switch it a bit. Let's be a bit positive as well. You mentioned you loved it. What did you love about the film?
Well, okay, so one of the things I really like is the relationship of the villains and the protagonist and the antagonist. Captain Marvel has a very cool relationship with what's his name's character, the villain.
Jude Law.
Jude Law's character.
I'll find his real name. Or Mark, if you're on the chat, just give us the real name of the character. There's a guy in the chat. He just answers all my questions for me. So
Perfect.
Mark,
he does.
I can't remember his alien name. Mark, if you give it to me, that'd be great. Saves me looking it up. But Jude Law, we all know it's Jude Law.
Right. I like that relationship. He is definitely the villain. He's definitely the antagonist here. But I mean, he's covering for her. He tries to get out of the situation. And then the ending, I don't want to spoil the ending, but I love the ending between those two. I think that was an original great take. We'd seen something else, and now we get their ending, and you're expecting something, and they truly subvert your Jan Rog. Yeah. That was good. They really subvert your expectation there, and it made it feel more like the comic book. I think the ending between their relationship reminded me of Carol Danvers' version of Captain Marvel. And I say it because there's been several Captain Marvels I grew up with Monica. I'm at that age, so Monica was the Rambeau. That was Captain Marvel, me growing up. I didn't read Captain Marvel. By the time Carol Danvers becomes Captain Marvel, I've already moved on to indie comics. So
awesome. Look, the one thing I did like about the film is it's still that, it follows the standard beats. There's one part where the enemies, what they call is all is despair. I think that's one of the film terms. It's the everything goes wrong. It follows all the similar beats, but the main thing about a film that follows standard, hero's journey beats is you have to root for the hero, and you actually have to connect with the hero, because if you don't connect with the hero, it makes you will hate the movie. And I know some people don't connect with a particular hero and the movie. I think they did a really good job making her likable and making her, relatable. Like, you know what? She's not. How do you say? She's lost her memory. There's things she's trying to chase, and there's a lot of backstory behind that. And I do enjoy that. It wasn't the standard superhero trope where, you know what, I can do everything type thing. So I did enjoy that part of it, where she's trying to chase an answer. And I think they've done the story quite a bit, like Wolverine and Logan. That's very much I've lost my memory. Half of Logan's hero's journey, not movie Logan, comic book Logan, is basically the whole memory thing. But I'm always a devil's advocate to myself. It's a very used trope as well. So, but it's not a trope that's actually been used in the MCU yet. So I have, I'm happy to let that one slide, because the MCU hasn't used that I don't have a memory trope yet. Unless I'm wrong, and Mark will correct me if I'm wrong in the movie. In the comments, if there has been another MCU hero or villain who had the "I lost my memory" trope.
Come on, man, the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Oh crap! Yeah, Bucky. I'm gone.
I was being quiet. I was over here. No,
Bucky.
Bucky.
Mark, I'm removing him from the screen. That's it. I've kicked him out. See you later, Stephen. That's
oh, sorry. I forgot about Bucky. Oh no, I take it all back then. It's the trope that was used twice.
I could see Travis was like, I don't actually want to say anything.
Oh
no.
Oh man.
But the one thing I'm super excited about, and I've mentioned a few times, I'm a massive X-Men fan. I'm a massive Gambit fan, and the big rumor around the next Captain Marvel film is that Rogue is going to be the villain, and that the way she actually gets her powers is that she takes them from Carol Danvers. So I'm super excited if that is true, and how they're going to drop certain X-Men characters in the universe rather than just jumping straight into an X-Men film or TV series or something. So I don't know. I'm fingers crossed. I'm hoping that is true, because that'd be kind of cool to have someone come in as a villain and then turn into a hero, because I don't think that's been done in the MCU.
Bucky.
Yeah. No, but he was good first. Bucky was good.
He was a villain. Everybody's good when you're a kid. What the heck? I don't think when Rogue was well, actually, Rogue was a teenager. That's right. She was like,
yeah, she was.
That's the whole reason Wolverine was hanging out. Oh wait,
Lucifer was always bad.
Say again.
Lucifer was always bad.
Lucifer was always bad. Well, no. I watched that TV show. He's a great guy.
Oh, look, that's actually a really funny take on Lucifer, because he's the one. I'll dig it up, but there's so many good articles and think that Lucifer is actually the good guy. I mean, look, I'm not going to get too religious here, but if you ever get bored, there's a lot of really, really good articles where they flip the script and they'll go, you know what? If you look at everything that's happened, Lucifer's the good guy. It was the same with we discussed this last week actually with Karate Kid, where we're going Daniel Russo. He's the villain of Karate Kid. He's the one who antagonizes the situation. He escalates it, and in the end, in karate, you're not allowed to do a head kick, which actually should be, he
should have been disqualified.
He should have been
And
disqualified.
he wins, and everyone cheers for him. It's like, you cheated, man. You cheated.
Exactly.
As long as everyone cheers, you're the winner.
Yeah, that's it. Mark has said that I wasn't even going to justify that with an answer, Stephen.
I apologize to him on the chat already. He's got my apology. It's done.
Well, I had to put that up on the screen, so. He's also said Rogue and Cap Marvel 2 would be brilliant. Way to depower Carol a bit. Is she way overpowered at the moment? I do agree with that a little bit. As much as Infinity War Endgame was, she was like super overpowered on that. I did kind of like it at the time. Superman is super overpowered compared to all the other characters, but it would be nice to if they do depower a little bit and use Rogue in that way type of thing. So that would be kind of cool as well. So.
Just on that one scene, and I didn't mind the scene where Captain Marvel destroyed Thanos' ship. You know what I mean? That's fine. Like, it was a really cool scene. The guns pointing up for a second, and everything freezes, and then she destroys the ship. That's fine. But she got the power from the Tesseract, which was one of the Infinity Stones, if you remember the backstory. And if that's the case, she should not be able to go toe-to-toe with Thanos holding the gauntlet. When Thanos held the gauntlet with all 6 stones and the Tesseract, where she got her power from, how the hell is she laying the beat on Thanos?
She's a woman, mate. There's your answer. Why? What are you trying to say, Stephen? That a woman can't go toe to toe with?
I don't,
mate. You are putting your foot in this show.
I know. I don't dare. I think we should go to Travis's Kickstarter. Let's run to Kickstarter now.
Before we jump that, I did want to say that one of the things I did notice when I watched Captain Marvel this time, the difference was I watched it with my girlfriend this time, and she loves it. She connects to Carol. All the stuff we find is flaws, like kind of feels like they're hammering in the thing about her being a woman the whole time, right? She dug all that. It connects with women a lot better than it connects with men. So I think that's something that we miss a lot of times. And so, I mean, I was amazed. The only thing is that this was the 3rd time she had seen it. And right before we started watching it, I had told her about the dialogue context issue. And she spent the whole movie going, oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, how does he know that? Oh, wait, he wasn't even there. And I was like, ruined it for you. Sorry.
See, that's what I do find interesting as well, because I've got a little girl who's 4 years old and everything, and I'm trying to get her into to Star Wars and everything like that. And it was funny the other day. She's like, "Oh, do I have to be a Sith? Why can't I be a Jedi?" And I'm like, "You can be a Jedi." And it's like, "Oh, but aren't only the boys Jedis?" And it's because I haven't shown her any of the new. I haven't shown her any of the new stuff type of thing. And I'm like trying to explain to her, because she's watched Rebels and
Ahsoka in Rebels, if I remember right.
Ahsoka is in Rebels.
She's not a Jedi in Rebels, so that might be why he's not making the connection.
Yeah, and mainly this series is around Kanan and Ezra. So like all these people that you can see that I'm a big Star Wars fan. I always throw in a Star Wars reference in every show I do, but it hasn't really dawned on me or made me think about that representation and all that type of stuff in film until I've actually had a daughter myself, because it's like, for me, I just didn't really kind of think about that. I just, I see so many people that look like me on screen that I never think about diversity in film or anything like that. So it's really highlighted to me when, creating my comic book series and doing that type of stuff that, I do when I create a universe. There's men, there's women, there's different races, there's all that type of stuff, and that is kind of shown in a series and stuff. And that's what I kind of dug about Captain Marvel, was that when I watched that, my little girl was like, you know, jumping up and down, going, "She beat the bad guys. She beat the bad guys." Like, you know, so I think probably shouldn't be showing my 4-year-old. I hope my wife isn't watching. So
You watch the replay afterwards anyway.
yeah, true.
Let's look. We've got about the half-hour mark, and we want to make sure we give. I know if we just kept ranting on, we'll spend the whole next half hour just going through all the different movies. But we do want to make sure we give some time for Travis. So, you have a video with your Kickstarter? So let's watch that one. I don't think the sound's coming through, Sean.
What's cool about issue 2 is that we pick up right after where issue 1 leaves off, and we start learning more about all the weird alien creatures that we've designed for this, and some of them you haven't seen. We get to learn some more about who the Ultra Kids are and who they aren't. I'm Brett, and I am the artist co-creator of Starlight. So Starlight centers around 2 kids from Seattle. Both were former superheroes, but are just living normal lives as EDM rave kids. For some reason, they get kidnapped by some alien space pirates on behalf of some spider wizards. We start learning in issue 2 why all this is happening and what their involvement is. Please check out our rewards. We've got some super fun stuff. If you missed out on issue 1, don't worry. It's available in some of the packages that we have. We can't do this without you. The Kickstarter support has been everything, and thank you for supporting our quirky little comic. Appreciate it.
Boom.
That's really so. Look, my first comment: did Brett do the colors as well?
Yeah. Actually, Brett's doing a bunch of stuff for Boom Studios right now too.
Because the one thing I have to mention, look, I have read issue 1, and I love the artwork for it, but something just connected to me when because I didn't pay much, freely admit, didn't pay too much attention the first time I watched the video, but the key word that picked up was that EDM rave scene, that one comment that Brett made, and the colors really suit that. I remember there's one part in issue 1 where I read, and it's that hyper color, you know, the bright colors, almost the neonish colors. And it really, really suits the comic. Was that intentional from your side, and when you wrote it, to have that type of almost oversaturated colors?
Yeah, actually, fun story. That's one of the coolest stories about the book. So Brett's already pretty famous as a comic book artist. I don't know if you guys ever saw the movie Surrogates with Bruce Willis. It was like the big last.
Wait. I did. That's the one where nobody left the house. They went into a robot, and the robot left the house on their behalf.
Yeah, that's based on Brett's book. So,
wow.
yeah. And so we were both working in Hollywood when that came out, and that's where we met. And at the time, I owned a nightclub as well as being a writer. I know that sounds crazy. I had a huge nightclub. In fact, some of the rave scenes are actually from pictures from my own rave at my nightclub from back then. And Brett and I were at Burning Man, and where we discussed this idea. And I won't say what we were doing at Burning Man, but that's definitely we just kind of matured into something. Well, he said, well, we wanted to write the story, and I'll go into the story in a second. I just want to get to the colors. So I started writing the story for him as a side project. We didn't know for sure what we were going to do with it yet. And when I got done, I told him, I said, look, here's the thing. If you look at Brett's other work, like almost all of the Philip K. Dick comic books are done by Brett because the family loves him. If you look at Surrogates, The Light from Image, all this other stuff, Beauty, he uses a lot of like really earth tone rusts and browns and stuff like that. I said, look, man, you can't use that if we write this comic. It has to be vibrant and beautiful, and space has to seem beautiful and vibrant and big in its colors. And he goes, okay, I gotta figure this out. So he actually developed a new way of coloring that he uses, and it's blown up for him. Actually, he's gotten like 3 or 4 coloring gigs since issue 1 with big studios. So he made a little video. If I think about it, I can send it to you guys to post on one of your pages on how he does it, but it's a different way of approaching color.
Wow, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'll definitely like to watch it. You mentioned the story, and we don't want to interrupt you. So you said the next jump you want to talk to us about the story. I'd love to hear what you have to say about that.
Yeah, so the story. So Brett first asked me to write something with raves in it because we're a Burning Man, and I was at the time I was thinking about this, like, what if you were going to be a superhero? Like, everybody's doing like the deconstruction of what a superhero is or a hero is, right? But what if you were supposed to? Everything was lined up for you to become a superhero, and then someone just took it from you, and you had to go just live a normal life, and you weren't allowed to ever tell anyone that you were once a superhero and that you were lined up for being a big superhero. Kind of like when you're in high school, that promise that everybody has when you're in high school. Oh, he's going to be a famous writer. He's going to be a famous guitarist. He's going to be, a lawyer. And then like half of them turn out to be like crackheads when you get older and working at like a gas station. And you run into this guy who's going to be this super guitarist. And he's like 43 dating a 22-year-old playing, working at 7-Eleven. And you thought he was going to be the biggest guitarist on the planet when you were a teenager. What can that happen to superheroes? So, I won't say much, but there was, when we were kids, there was a couple comic books that were out at the time about kid superheroes, which is a terrible idea. There should never be children superheroes. So what if you were a child superhero and, all those comics show them like doing team ups with adult superheroes because someday they're going to be adult superheroes. Well, what if they don't get to be superheroes? What if it just doesn't happen? And that's what Starlight's about. They were called the Ultra Kids. They had all that promise. They teamed up with all the famous superheroes, and then nope, that didn't happen. So that's really the story.
That's a very cool premise for a story type of thing, and so it just kind of reminds me of like you're in Hollywood, the childhood star actors that they're really big, and then you're 18, you're like, well, whatever happened to those guys type of thing. So that's a really
still around. He still tweets every once in a while. The Home Alone guy, Macaulay Culkin. The Home Alone.
Oh, he's
guy.
on YouTube a lot. He's actually pretty hilarious. Yeah, he's gonna be an American Horror Story this season.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
Okay. Yeah. So one question, and while we're scrolling through, and we're going to see some of the artwork and stuff. Has there been any comparisons made to, say, I think the closest comic that if I can compare yours to probably be Saga, with the whole alien species, the that whole slightly over the top thing. I know Saga at the whole is still also a very family drama. Mm-hmm. Did you take any influences from that? Have you read that comic? Do you take any influence from that?
So I've gone through the first trade for Saga, but to my knowledge, Brett hadn't seen Saga when he started the art, and our references are not the same. But I think we live in that same environment because one of the things, like if you go and look at a lot of Kickstarter art right now or Tumblr art, there's that kind of weird lanky cat-like alien thing that's going around, furry thing. And I think that's got an influence on our overall culture right now. So I think when I said cat-like space pirates, we were going to get a similar cat-like space pirate, because that's the big thing right now. In fact, one of the people that did our original hoodies, she's famous for making costumes like that. So she was a big inspiration for us, or they were a big inspiration for us.
Look, I have read Saga, and look, it's a really compliment for that, because look, Saga is absolutely one of my favorite series, and I enjoyed that, and I really enjoyed your book as well. So, and it's a different take to it. So, man, look, it's a compliment. I like the way it's going.
Go ahead.
And Saga had the giant spider alien as well. So that's the other.
What?
I'm sorry. That's a giant spider. It's like a centaur. You know, she had the top half of a lady and the back of a spider. So
I don't have that.
Spider centaur. That's her
These
thing.
are like these are based on like these little nightmare creatures. When I was a kid, I watched some British film about how these people found, I think they were in a pub, a spaceship from a past war of aliens, and like the ghosts of the aliens were going to come back and destroy the Earth, and they were like, the aliens looked like glowing praying mantises. It was a black and white film. I saw it as a little kid. I don't remember what the movie was called, anything about it, nothing. I just remember the praying mantis aliens and like this Satan glowing demon thing over everything. So when I was like, oh man, that was the scariest crap I ever seen. Those are going to be my main aliens. You know, you get like a praying mantis spider priest creature thing.
And that's this guy here, isn't it?
I love the aesthetics. Look, and like I said, I love the aesthetics. I love the color. How awesome does that look?
Yeah. The other thing we really worked hard on with Brett is the alien technology can't look like anything a human would use or build. So if you're looking around that bridge imagery right there, or if you look at the Star Runner itself, you know, all the technology is really not meant to be comprehensible by a human because it's not meant for our fingers and the way we interact with things.
Sorry, gotta stop you there because I've got one thing. I know Sean's gonna hate me for going on a rant. If you were an alien, you would not have a steering wheel. Steering wheels are only for humans. So I'm so sick of seeing alien crafts with steering wheels.
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense. Absolutely doesn't make sense because the wires. Sorry, Sean.
Why are you anti-alien? What? They're not allowed to have steering wheels?
They're not allowed to have steering
wheels. They don't have 2 hands. They might have 8 hands. They might have 3 steering wheels, mate. You know, so they can go up, down, and all around in space.
Even if they have hands, it wouldn't
judge aliens in their steering wheels. Seriously, what have you been on tonight, Stephen? You are just smacking everyone down tonight.
Oh no! But I still stand by my comments. If you're an alien species, and you had a different physiology, and you were trying to pilot a plane or your craft, it would not have a steering wheel. And how many movies have alien steering wheels in them? Every time I see it, I'm going, that can't happen. That shouldn't happen.
Well, that's what Travis, you were saying. It kind of leads on to what you were saying before about being a little bit more aware of your environment and all that type of stuff, rather than just being a little bit lazy and going, okay, we're just going to stick a steering wheel in here. Like I would prefer them trying to hit screens and trying to work out, you know, on a screen how to kind of fly a ship than be able to just jump in, grab the steering wheel and go, off we go, you know, type of thing.
Well, we also said that I didn't want any screens. So if you go back to if you scroll up to the bridge imagery again, there's no screens. There's nothing. There's nothing that's identifiable for a human to pilot that ship. You know, and that's on purpose. One of the things I really love in science fiction that kind of got lost, but if you something I made Brett go watch before we did a lot of this. Oh, I guess there is a kind of screen back there. Damn him. Anyways, the door should be recognizable. So, you know, I'll explain that away later. That the cat aliens adjusted the ship. I don't know. But yeah, the ship's design, interior and stuff is a lot of inspiration came from Forbidden Planet. I love the way they did the ancient alien architecture that they were exploring, which had nothing recognizable for a human to use, which is why the doctor on Forbidden Planet was like, oh, I've been studying this for 20 years. And he put these little wires in his head and stuff. And so I was like, that's what I want you to look at, right? I want you to look at that, because whoever did that set design said, I don't know what these aliens are shaped like, but they're not shaped like humans. So the doors won't open for a human. You know, they don't have keyboards because they don't have hands, you know, stuff like that. And that's really where we went over the top with the design. So looking at that back there, it looks like he built a door that's kind of based on the Forbidden Planet doors. That's kind of cool, built with a circle around it.
That is cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Let's keep
So-
scrolling down. Let's keep seeing more of the Kickstarter.
So this is the second issue. So you've got one issue out already. That's right?
Yep. Issue 1. It went really well. Great. I loved issue 1. There's Jenna's art. I don't know if you guys read The Wonderful World of Gumball or Steven Universe or Adventure Time, but Jenna's the Boom Studio artist for those, and she did a cover.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I was going to say my artist on XCT previously worked for Boom Studios and had done some Steven Universe stuff. So I was like, oh, that looks like that same style. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
So that's Brett.
Yeah, that's Brett.
His pink hair.
Yeah, with his pink hair. His girlfriend's a hairstylist, so he always has the coolest hair.
So what was
Greg?
Greg.
What was his role in that? He was.
So Greg and I wrote together. So Greg and I also met when I was working in Hollywood and stuff still, and we worked on similar books. Well, I worked on a film that was similar to a book that he wrote. That's with Oni, and it's based on my club. Anyways, when I was writing the Starlight for the script, I was actually working on another book at the same time, and I was doing some other things. And I ran into a problem that usually you bring somebody else in for, which is you can get too close to the material. And that's how you start losing track of what's happening, and you'll have characters repeat things too often, or themes will repeat. Because you're like, oh, I got to make sure, did I make the part about how I need to really hammer this down? And all of a sudden you'll have like the same scene like twice in the story, 2 different ways, and you won't catch it because you're so close to the material. And so really, if you, one of my favorite writing friends, my friend Jason, he always says writing is a collaborative sport. That's his favorite line. And Greg, I had to have someone come in and basically kill all the babies in the original script, especially with issue 2, which now is probably the tightest issue. But there's a lot of themes that are happening in the comic, and I knew I was overhammering them, and I knew I was spending too much time on them in too many different places. So Greg really came in and started ripping stuff out. That was the first thing he did, and the next thing he did, he started cleaning up areas because. As a writer, I'm like, oh, I need that part. I need that. Oh, that's important. That's important. And Greg's like, no, Hatch, that goes out. You've already done that 3 times. You don't need to say it a 4th time. We get it. He's a jerk. He goes too. So that's where Greg came in, and then he kind of reshaped the middle, which is where it was getting a little weird. And then he told me, well, we went through like 4 different endings, and we might alter the ending again, even a little bit too at the last minute. But if it wasn't for Greg, it would have had a really shitty ending.
So how many issues is this planned for? So you mentioned the ending, so I'm assuming there is a definitive end. How far is it planned out for?
It's 7 issues. It's a complete arc.
Yep.
So when I was working down there, they always told us to write everything in 6 or 7 issue runs if you write a comic book series, because it translates to a screenplay almost instantaneously.
Nice. Okay.
So she's that Steven Universe artist.
Yep.
Yep. Cool.
I've
So,
never seen this reward before. That's a cool idea. Pencils only edition.
Yeah.
Is there any
That's
dialogue
really
with that,
cool.
or no dialogue with the pencils only?
Yeah. It's designed just so you can see all the pencil work.
Okay, cool.
Wow, that's cool.
Retailers pack. So look, there's a whole stack of really, really good rewards. Guys, I'm going to share the link right now. You guys keep talking. I'll share the link if anybody in the chat wants to have a look while we're still talking to Travis. Give me a sec. I'll share the link right now to chat.
Yeah, definitely. Well, this is converted to Australian dollars, but we've got $5,118 out of a $12,000 goal. 168 backers, man. That's massive. But we do have a long way to go in 4 days. So if anyone wants to check it out and back it, that definitely now is the time to do it and share it on social media. We know as indie creators, any support is always appreciated. The people in our group are always fantastic fantastic in doing that. How did you come up with that type of goal? Is this a 24-page issue standard comic, or is it a little bit bigger than that? What made you come up with that type of goal?
So it cost us about $6,000 to produce it on the type of material we produce the comic on. We use a very specific printer that can bring our colors correctly. Stephen, I think you saw the first issue. Did you get a physical copy?
I think I did, but I've received. Look, I've backed close to more than 150 Kickstarters. I've got a stack.
It's okay. It's okay. So
the
reason I
it's not okay, Travis. It's not okay. You don't have to say that. It's not okay.
I've been hammered a lot this stream.
It's okay. It's okay. The reason I brought it up is because it's printed on a little bit heavier stock. It's by a printing press that knows how to work with Brett's the new coloring system, so nothing bleeds. And so it's not exactly a cheap comic to produce. That we want, and we want to make sure people know that. The other thing is, Brett just works 24/7 as a comic book artist. That's his only income. So we want to make sure he gets his normal price for comics. Even though we did it together, Brett needs to get paid. The rest of Greg and I are both professional writers, and we don't run out of work usually. Like, we're always just like on something. We're already, 3 books in. I'm already done with the next 2 books I'm supposed to have out in the next few months. So that's where the number comes from. And the other thing was, we had a successful first issue run. So what we did is we just kind of, this is so embarrassing. We just said, oh, well, that worked great. Let's just do exactly the same thing again. It hasn't quite done the same thing as the last issue, as the first issue.
Look,
I know with Stephen, I was going to say that he's quite particular about the paper that he prints on and everything as well. So sometimes we get asked a similar question on why is something X amount of dollars, and it is because of that. That Stephen's very, very firm on when we've created something together about the quality of the paper, the quality of the printing, and all that type of stuff. So totally understand when you're saying when it costs to print a book and that it's a bit crazy that it's so expensive sometimes to do these little extra things, but it does highlight how good a book can actually look and feel, type of thing. So nice to see that we've got Sazagal has just said just backed, and Mark has backed it also. So that is fantastic.
Look, thank you so much, guys. I think it really helps creators a lot, and and I'll speak on your behalf, Travis. This is a passion project. This is not if this was a dollars project, you wouldn't be doing it. You find something else. You'll be working in a nightclub rather than creating comics if you didn't do this for the money.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Yep. There you go.
I'll tweet it out as well. There we go.
So you've just picked up 3 more pledges. There you go, Travis.
Thanks, guys. Thanks. That's really awesome.
Yeah. Also, just on paper, and just because you brought this one up, Sean. Look, I whenever we do something, because look, this is a passion for a lot of us. You want it to last, and as much as some people go the newsprint, the lower GSM paper. If you're gonna do it, make something to last, because you don't know when the next issue you're gonna do your next issue. You don't know whether you're gonna get funded or not funded, and all the rest of it. So if you're gonna do it, build it to last. That's why I try to make it really strict. I used, if you know paper terms, 150 GSM. A standard copy paper is 80, so 150 is almost double that. And I use cardstock covers and all the rest of it, because I want it that if once you finish reading, you can leave it on your shelf and it's not going to disintegrate on you.
Right.
Most standard other 3 GSM newsprints, you leave it there, it will bend, it will yellow, it will do all that horrible stuff. You want it that if you spend all your effort as a creator to build something, it stands the test of time, at least physically. Story-wise, meh. At least physically, you'll still be there.
I back a lot of projects too, and I gotta say, once in a while you get these projects, and you're like, man, did they just make this thing at like the cheapest printing? Like the pages are falling out, when you get it out of the packaging. And I mean, there are some guys that do great work. Like I've never been the Lady Death guy, Brian, whatever his name. His stuff always comes out great. Yeah, I love it. It's always good quality. But I've been buying his stuff since I was a teenager. So.
Oh no, but look, and he does. He's reached a stage in his thing where he's putting out covers which are leather based, metal based. All this really really cool printing techniques. And look, I'm not. I mean, we're nowhere close to that type of print run where you can have fun with. That's really really cool stuff. But man, it's a dream. I want to reach where I can print that many copies that I can tell the printer, make these 2 copies out of metal for me. I mean, how cool would that be? You can reach that stage where you can actually say, yeah, just make them out of metal. Yeah, metal's cool for me, or leather, or whatever. It's
yeah. The latest one.
You need huge print runs to do that. Yeah.
The latest one I got was from Comics Tribe. I got the She book.
Oh yeah, that cover was amazing.
That had the cut out of the face in the middle, so it was a hardcover book, but then the face was cut out. It had a beautiful white sheet on the inside with markings on it, and then when you opened it up again, it was so the front was like her helmet, then it was like her screen, and then when you opened it all the way up, then it was just her face. I was like, what a like crazy idea of doing something for an like this. I wouldn't call them. They're still indie, but they're quite high up there in the indie creation part. But when you put love and care into your product, I think that really shows. And then when you're doing multiple Kickstarters and multiple projects, then if people can see the quality of your project, that they're more inclined to go, okay, well, I know I'm going to get something good from this guy, type of thing, which is always good.
Oh, and then look, just from that Shea project, just by that cover alone, I think they probably picked up 50% of the backers just because they saw that cover and goes, you know what, I'm going to give this one a shot just because of how cool they made that cover.
Yeah, that cover was amazing.
Yeah, so I usually do digital and everything for international projects as well, but that one I was like, okay, nah, I need to if you're gonna do a cover like that, I need to have that physical copy type of thing. So. But we guys, if we've got about 8 to 10 minutes left, so if you guys have any questions that you want us to ask Travis about his project, about his writing, anything about the Kickstarter, please drop it in the chat now. We'll keep talking, and we'll ask any questions that you may have for Travis as well.
And you can pop up Moira's comment. She just backed as well. So I don't know if you can see it come through yet.
Oh, there we go. Moira is phenomenal. She's a great supporter. There's I'll tell you what, everyone in this group that jumps on this show has been amazing in supporting almost all the creators that we have on the show, which is fantastic. So a big shout out to all of our fans. Thank you very much for supporting not only Travis, but everyone else within the indie comic community as well. So,
look, so a question for yourself, Travis. Look, again, you're a writer. You mentioned that you had 2 or 3 stories down the track. Is there anything else we can be looking for from yourself in the future? Like, are you going a fantasy route, slice of life? What's next?
Oh yeah, the next book is giant robots that fight, mixed with NASCAR, mixed with like Burning Man in a post-apocalyptic future, but it's a romance saga.
I don't know whether you're joking or whether you're serious.
No,
I'm
totally serious.
I'm like,
no, I'm totally serious. I just
you are
sent
totally
off
serious?
Yeah. I call it Smoking Hearts. And it's about giant robots battling in competitions that people build, and two competitors falling in love.
Romeo and Juliet with
Wow.
giant robots.
Yeah.
Wow.
In a post-apocalyptic future where the events, instead of being in stadiums, they're like in big Burning Man festivals. So everybody parties and celebrates life until the two robots fight.
Okay, wow.
That's really cool. That sounds as a really, really cool hook.
I know we've already got a couple of people that sounds awesome.
Oh man.
Moira, you should know how funny I am. I am funny. I got to admit, I've had a really big and busy weekend, so I might be a little bit delirious tonight. I launched my own Kickstarter on Friday with an hour and a half long launch, and then got up early Saturday morning to back that up again, and then did another live stream this morning, one this afternoon, and then doing this show. So I'm like whoring myself out this weekend.
Yeah, I saw your. Actually, just realized I saw it. XCT go up earlier. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no,
He was talking about
what I was gonna do
XCT,
is-
Stephen, and you talked over the top of him.
I'm
Come on,
sorry,
man.
I'm sorry, I was gonna
Jeez,
share the
you're
link.
killing me tonight, mate.
I'm sorry. I was going to share the link. I was going to say, as you're talking about it, let me share the link in case people haven't seen it yet. So I'm going to share your XCT link right now.
That would be amazing. Thank you so much, mate. Yeah, this is the XCT Kickstarter, so it's been up since Friday night, which is fantastic. A lot of the guys in here that have already that are watching or the show tonight have already backed it, but if you haven't, Stephen's chucked it in the chat there. Check it out. We're halfway to our goal, and it's a crossover between a video game company, which is very cool. The first time I've done anything like this before. So, but just want to shout out to everyone that has backed so far. You guys are amazing. So yeah. I'm getting in trouble, Stephen.
It's okay. Well, look, it's all good fun, Moira. We'll talk backstage afterwards, and I'll get angry afterwards. It's all good.
I'll be in trouble after, Moira. I tell you. Stephen will withhold scripts from me, so I better be nice to him. So.
Oh, look! If there's no more questions, look, thank you chat so much. Look, we really appreciate everyone that's come on. Please do check out Travis's Kickstarter. Definitely share it. Like, get as many eyes as you can looking at it as possible. And look, we've got 4 days, and we can just keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah, I need to do an update, Travis. So I'll chuck it in my
hopefully in that 4 days,
updates.
Travis can cross the finish line. Sean.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I'll chuck Starlight into my update for my latest Kickstarter as well, and one of my older ones as well, to see if we can drive some traffic your way and get you across the line as well, mate. So
that'd be awesome, guys. Thanks for having me on. By the way, this has actually been the funnest podcast I've done this round.
Oh, thank you. Is it because we're Australian?
Actually, you're the first Australians I've ever talked to. I was going to mention that. I was so excited.
Wow. Wow.
Really?
I've been trying to articulate more this weekend because my wife told me that I speak too much like an ocker or a Paul Hogan bogan, as we call them down here. So I'm trying to articulate my words much better, much better. See, I said to her, I'm a lost cause. There's no fixing this guy here.
Before we go, Shane's just put a text through from Comic X as well. You've got one more as well.
Thanks, Shane. You're amazing. Thanks, guys, for all the support. It's been a long uphill battle with issue 2.
Okay, look, that's it from me.
I thought Australia was a myth. This come from a New Zealander. Let's not get into this. We're digressing really fast tonight, but we appreciate your time, mate. We know that it's super early over there, but I hope with the backing that you've gotten on the show and us highlighting your project in the next couple of days, that it's definitely worth your time. It's getting up in an ungodly hour over there. So we really thank you for your time, and thanks everyone for coming. And Stephen, I do apologize. I know you're going to give me a tongue lashing after I get off this podcast.
I don't do that. You know that. It's all good fun.
Awesome, guys.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Have a great night.